All right, it's day 3 of the IMF World Bank annual meeting in Marrakesh, Morocco. We have our team of reporters there bringing us details from proceedings so far. We have our very own John McQuarrie, Channel TV correspondent, right there in Marrakesh. Ini, great to have you. Good morning.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nadi. Well, as you have said, it's day 3. One thing I like to say, first of all, is Nigeria is now the chair of the African Governors Forum. That means that Nigeria is the chair of all central bank governors. And Nigeria will be hosting central bank governors in the country in just about a month. So that's one thing that has come out of the meeting on this day 3. And then other than that, I can tell you that very serious conversations that have taken place here. One of that is the issue of debt cancellation. We know that a lot of African countries, emerging economies, are really under a heavy burden of debt. Debt servicing is gulping a whole lot of their revenue. I mean, if we talk about Nigeria, we know that about 90% or 99% thereabout is being used for debt servicing. Of course, it's a source of worry for the world, for the IMF, for the World Bank. I don't know if you remember, I think on Monday, I had a chat with the Secretary General of Commonwealth. And she said, well, one of the things we have to do if we really want to solve the debt problem is to go back and check out what's the source of this debt. And that conversation has expanded now, looking closely at the source of that debt. What's some findings have come up with? What about the issue of surcharging, the surcharging policy of the International Monetary Fund? As we know, a lot of developing economies get loans from IMF, from the World Bank, and they're saying that the surcharging policy is even increasing, the debt burden. So, just for information, surcharging is additional fees on loans to the most indebted middle income borrowers. Now, the problem with that is the people who now fall into this, who get this surcharge, what they say is about 3 to 5% of the loan, are the poorest of the poor. And these are the people who need help the most. Instead, they are the ones who get this surcharge, which increases, their debt burden, and of course saps the revenue that they would have used for infrastructure development and in-country boosting of economic growth. So the World Bank president had a briefing this morning at 8 a.m. Funny enough, we're using the same time as Morocco and Nigeria. And he says that Africa cannot develop by borrowing or relying on people. We know that Minister of Finance, whom we spoke to yesterday, I saw him earlier on the show, you used that track, also said that we have to look inwards. And the World Bank president is saying, not just looking inwards within countries, but also within the continent. If we can have more of intra-African trade. And he got it right on point when he said that it's more difficult to export a commodity from one African country to the other compared to if you're exporting it out of Africa. And these are some of the issues. We have AFCFTA, but how impactful is it? How much of the countries are working on it? And it's all because of these bottlenecks, paperwork, and perhaps a lack of confidence in African-made products. And so the World Bank president has said, yes, we agree the surcharge policy of the IMF is increasing the debt burden, but there's no way African countries, when you look at the Western countries, developed countries, how many loans did they take to get to where they are? So it would be better if African countries, first of all, will look within themselves, within their countries, and on the other hand, also trade, within themselves in the region. That way, you reduce the demand for dollar, for instance, and that will solve a lot of problems when it comes to FX shortages in a country like Nigeria. So it's a whole lot of conversations, Ladi.
Right.
We gotta capture one program, I can tell you, but we expect, I think, better than all of the talks is the changes that we will see. Minister of Finance, Mr. Wale Adeosun, had said there are practical steps planned, after the meeting. Well, we hope to see that and also see it in other African countries. As you know, because this meeting meeting is holding on an African soil, and then there's a whole lot of attention on Africa. But practical steps, obviously, is what we'll be looking out for after this.
Quite interesting. First time in 50 years, the meeting's happening right here on African soil. Thank you so much, John McQuarrie, for that update. And we know you keep sending us updates as they come. We do have our team right there in Marrakesh giving us blow by blow of all the events and proceedings going on right there in Marrakesh. Thank you so much.